been a little while since I reported on new Chinese electric cars, but I know many of you are interested in them. Here are two brand new ones, which I think actually are worth considering. Now, one of them is intended as a vehicle not even for China. They're making this car because they plan on actually exporting them to other countries around the world. So they've kind of designed it with that in mind, meaning you might be able to buy one fairly soon. The other one actually costs about the same price as the tail lights of a GMC Hummer electric pickup truck, I should say. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm the Electric Viking. Great to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for subscribing. Great to see all the new subscribers and great to see everyone else as well. Things have been great on the channel lately. You guys have been watching the channel now. It's about 1 million views a week, which is fantastic. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for supporting the electric revolution. And you know what? I'm going to try and keep the most interesting comments and interesting information coming to you guys, because when I read articles, I'm trying to read between the lines. I don't always pick up everything, so I appreciate your emails. I can't respond to them because there's too many of them, but I do read them. So I do value your emails and your messages. And remember, I do try to read between the lines with what manufacturers are doing and what they've planned. So a lot of what I report on here is my interpretation of what's really going on. Now, I believe that if manufacturers haven't planned on using lithium iron phosphate batteries or made contracts and deals, then they'll be in trouble. There is a huge advantage, there's a huge reason to why Tesla is the most successful electric vehicle company on the face of the earth. That is because they're using LFP batteries in the majority of the cars they sell. Their margins, therefore, are much higher. China is really the home of lithium iron phosphate batteries. That's where lithium iron phosphate batteries have just taken off and gone crazy. They used to be about 20% market share a few years ago. Now we're looking at closer to 70%. And that figure just keeps on increasing. Now, this new EV, the Huazi Omega Mini EV, was launched in China within the last few days. Price starts at around $6,500 US, and it's got 2 doors and 4 seats and a range in its base variation of 128 kilometers. However, you can buy a longer range version for around $8,000 US with 220 kilometers of range. Now, my electric bike cost about that much, and I think its range is 220 kilometers if I pedal the thing without the motors. And I wouldn't last that long on a heavy electric bike. So the range is probably 50 kilometers on my electric bicycle. I don't know how these Chinese companies can produce an actual car for this price. It's absolutely insane. But the great thing is, right, there's a lot of people in China. There's 1.4 billion people there. The reality is the majority of them can't afford to buy an expensive EV, or even if they can afford to, they don't want to because they think that they need to save money, which is a kind of a wise way to live. Chinese people have more savings than any other people on the face of the planet. So you got to respect that. But these kinds of cars really matter for them because it means they can affordably get around. They can afford these kinds of cars. You and I could afford them. Probably a good decision for many of us to scale down to something like this instead of buying a big car that we don't need. A lot of us, personally I do because I've got kids and I've got bikes and things. But a lot of the average people, think about it. The fastest growing household in the West, in the US, Australia, Canada, and Europe, the fastest growing household by far, it's not even close, is the single person household. How many single person households need a big car, right? These are the perfect solution. And they're also good for the environment. It's less metal, less batteries. And the other thing is less to charge. Less electricity is needed to charge them. So I love these kinds of cars. I really hope they take off all around the world. Now, they obviously have in China in a big, big way. The second best-selling car in the world last year was a car pretty much only sold in China. The Wuling Hongwan Mini EV, which is in fact part manufactured by General Motors. General Motors own 33% of that company, and it's why Mary Barra claimed that General Motors is the #1 best electric car selling company on the face of the earth. Even though, obviously they make about $25 per car they sell, but they do get some credits back from the Chinese government as well. So that helps with them making a profit. And the other thing is, hey, at least they make a profit on them. GM's other cars that they sell in the US, they don't make a profit on them. The EVs I'm talking about here. So specs, what are they? Well, two battery packs, right? The one with 128 kilometers of range has a 10.24 kilowatt hour battery. The version with 220 kilometers of range has an 18.43 kilowatt hour battery pack. Now, in terms of power, dual motors, 24 kilowatt, maximum speed of 100 kilometers an hour. Could you do 100 kilometers an hour down a hill, on the flat, up a hill? I don't know. Probably not. But anyway, they're not really designed for freeways or highways. In fact, most people in China don't use freeways or highways. Some do, but most don't. Now, as you can see, this thing is retro looking, pretty old school looking. There's a lot of other electric cars in China that are similar size, so there's similar prices. In fact, Wuling Hongwan Mini EV, they have a new variant of their EV, which is a bit bigger now. It's actually now 3.2 meters long, which is still small, but bigger than the older version. And it comes with a bigger battery pack. It comes with a 320 kilometer range. It's got a 30 kilowatt hour lithium iron phosphate battery pack. To me, that's the perfect EV. I'll put a link in the description below to my review about that car. So how big is this car? Actually, it's bigger than it looks. Partly to do with that big bottom it's got on the end. It's kind of a weird bum sticking out. I'm not a big fan of the bum stick out look. It reminds me of the old Renault Megane from back in the early 2000s. Let me know what you think of it. However, it is bigger than the Wuling Hongwan Mini EV. It's 3,444 millimeters long, so nearly 3.5 meters long, 1,550 millimeters tall, and 1,535 millimeters wide. Could you really fit 4 people in it? Yeah, I reckon you could, but probably just kids in the back. I don't think that's if you want to have your kids in the back. You know, if you're driving around local streets, probably fine. Maybe not on a freeway or a highway. Now, the more important electric car for me, for us in the US, in Australia, in the West, in Europe, in the UK, Canada, this is the car we might be able to buy. That's why I say more important, just because it's more relevant to us. It has come out with a price of $30,500 US, which is actually pretty incredible for the quality of this car. It is really good. I think much, much better than the new Nissan Ariya, which just came out, which is more expensive than this. So the details are here. It comes with 2 trims in China called Play and Good Voice. The Aiways U6 will cost $30,500 in its base variant. Now that variant has a range in the CLTC range. That's the Chinese WLTP or whatever you want to call it. 505 kilometers. Now, if you want to get the longer range version, that has 590 kilometers. Now, someone sent me an email telling me I'm all wrong about CLTC. CLTC range is actually extremely accurate for Chinese buyers, and we should be using it all over the world because it's the most accurate form of range. It's not. It's totally bogus. No one thinks that. People in China don't even believe CLTC range because it's not achievable unless you drive a car down a hill like Nikola did. Tow it up the top and let it roll down. But then you might get that range. The real world range is probably about 15%, 20% less than those numbers, but you're still going to get 400 kilometers of range in that base model variant. That top model variant, you're still going to get 500 kilometers of range, probably close to that. So that's pretty good, I think. Now the price for the range with 590 kilometers CLTC is around $35,000 US. And considering the size of this car, it's bigger than the Nissan Ariya. In fact, it's actually a little bit bigger than a Tesla Model Y in terms of overall length, just slightly longer, but a bit narrower. It's 4,805 millimeters long, which is 4.8 meters. So just a tiny, about this much longer than a Model Y, but it's a little bit narrower than a Model Y. In fact, quite a bit narrower, about 40 millimeters narrower. Wheelbase is 2.8 meters. It's actually overall a pretty similar size to a Tesla Model Y. So you can see it's a very, very good, well-priced car. Now, technically, it's called an electric coupe SUV crossover. Actually, I don't know. But yeah, you know what these new cars are like. They're all kind of shaped like this. The styling of it, though, I think it looks not bad. What do you think? Let me know what your thoughts are on the looks of this car. Now, I don't like the pink color. That's not my thing personally, but it's good to see pinks being offered. I mean, I don't think I've seen a pink car now for years. So interesting to see pink cars become available. I'm sure there's lots of people that would prefer certain shades that are not available on the market. I mean, it's pretty boring that you can only buy white, red, black, blue cars now with most models of car. So that's one of the good things about some Chinese models. They now offer lots more color choices. Now, looking at the interior, The interior looks pretty similar to a Tesla vehicle in a lot of ways. Very minimalist, just has one big 15-inch screen, 14.6 inches. So about the same size screen as what you see in a Tesla Model 3 and a Model Y. And as you can see, it's just got a tiny little digital instrument cluster on the dashboard in front of the driver as well. And what about safety? Well, the company Aiways says it has level 2 driving assistance system with the chip from Mobileye. And there's 27 safety driving functions. Don't know why you need so many functions, but anyhow, there's 27, including AI cruise, traffic jam assist, lane change assist, narrow road protection, and a camera above the A-pillar of the vehicle to monitor the driver while driving and give reminders if the driver looks like he's falling asleep. Now, it also comes with a panoramic sunroof, very similar to Tesla vehicles, which brings in natural light and gives the driver more passenger headspace. This is something that Tesla really was the first company to introduce, this new concept of having a fixed permanent glass roof, which does open up quite a bit more space for passengers in the back. In particular, the size of the sunroof in this vehicle is 1.25 meters times 1.7 meters, and it blocks 99.9% of ultraviolet rays and 78% of external heat from entering the car. Very similar design to Tesla. I like the fact that a lot of Chinese companies are copying some of Tesla Model Y and Model 3's designs, because if it works, why not do it? There's no point actually just saying, no, we're not going to do that because Tesla's doing that. If something's good, if another car brand or someone else does something well, why not do it? I think it makes sense. What about the power? Well, Aiways says it's going to come with a maximum power of 160 kilowatt, which is 217 horsepower, peak torque of 315 newton meters, 0 to 100 is in 6.9 seconds, and it comes with a revolutionary new battery pack. Now, this is the best part of this whole video. This is the part that excites me. This is the first car I've seen with this new CATL CTP cell to pack technology with CATL's new batteries, right? This is their new lithium iron phosphate battery technology, meaning better energy density, lighter packs, more range. 63 kilowatt hour pack is the smaller pack, 72 kilowatt hour pack is the bigger pack. And as you can see, it's giving the cars pretty good range for small battery pack sizes. This is the future of technology. It's not the Nissan Ariya with a massive 91 kilowatt hour pack, which gets way less range than a Model Y and is a smaller, much smaller car. This is the future. Much higher energy density packs, CTP pack technology, which reduces the weight of the pack and it reduces the weight of the car. For example, the Nissan Ariya is 200 kilos heavier than a Model Y, but 10% smaller. And it doesn't make sense, right? This makes sense. CATL's new technology, you're going to be hearing a lot more about this from me because why? It's going to be in the Tesla Model Y and the Model 3 very soon. And it's going to be really exciting to see because EVs are getting better. And this is one of the ways they're getting better. Higher energy density batteries, lighter vehicle weights, and more range. Even when you would think it'd be less because the battery pack's smaller. That's the future of this technology and it's really exciting. Now, I really like this car for $30,000 US. I hope we see these in other countries. I hope we see them in Europe. I hope we see them in the US, in Australia. In the US, probably not because, you guys are doing your own thing with manufacturing, which is really, really good to see. I made a video about that, by the way. I'll put a link in the description below. Manufacturing is going crazy in the US lately. Hopefully Europe can go, hey, whoa, look at that, and do something. Because Europe's been sucking and complaining. They're whining now, saying it's not fair. Biden government's IRA is discriminatory against Europe. Europe's had it pretty good in terms of their terms of trade with the US for years, and now all of a sudden the scores are evening up and they don't like it. Interesting to see. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye-bye.